BALQIS binti Mama AZLAN with magic numbers 2024665822, and I'll be presenting to you regarding the introduction of our case study, which is in Silicon Island. So, this presentation focuses on dredging and land reclamation in Malaysia using Silicon Island in Penang as the case study. Dredging is the process of removing sediments from the seabed or riverbed, while land reclamation uses these materials to create new land. This method supports port expansion, urban development, and transportation infrastructure. However, they may also affect marine ecosystems and coastal communities, making sustainable planning and environmental management essential. Silicon Island is one of Malaysia's largest reclamation projects, which covering about 4,500 acres. As part of the Penang Transport Master Plan, it aims to develop a smart and a sustainable township while promoting long-term economic growth. Silicon Island is a large-scale land reclamation project located off the southern coast of Penang Island near Bayan Lepas. It is part of the Penang Transport Master Plan, which aims to support future urban growth and improve transportation in Penang. The project will create approximately 2,300 acres of new land through dredging, hydraulic filling, and ground improvement works. In addition, coastal protection and environmental mitigation measures are implemented to ensure long-term land stability and reduce environmental impacts. Silicon Island is planned as a smart and sustainable township, integrating green infrastructure, renewable energy, and modern technologies to support future economic development. So, the main objective of Silicon Island is to create new land to meet Penang's growing demand for residential, commercial, and industrial development. The project also aims to attract high-value investments, especially in electrical and electronics, semiconductor, digital technology, and advanced industries. In addition, revenue generated from the land development will help finance the Penang Transport Master Plan, which includes the proposed LRT, highways, and other public transport projects. So, in overall, Silicon Island supports sustainable urban growth while strengthening Penang's economy. So, moving on to the conceptual master plan, this figure shows the conceptual master plan of Silicon Island. The Reclaim Island is planned with a balance of mixed residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and public spaces. The development includes an integrated transportation network with main roads, local roads, pedestrian walkways, cycling roads, and a proposed LRT connection to improve accessibility. In addition, large areas are allocated for parks, waterfronts, and green corridors to enhance environmental quality and public well-being. So, in overall, the master plan reflects the vision of developing a smart, sustainable, and highly livable township. Silicon Island is developed through a public-private partnership between the Penang State Government and Gamuda Berhad under Silicon Island Development, or in short we call it as SID-SID. SID is responsible for planning, coordinating, and managing the overall development of the project. The Phase 1 reclamation works are carried out by SRSTC Sdn Berhad as the main contractor, while Gamuda Engineering Sdn Berhad serves as the major subcontractor for marine engineering and dredging works. The project is also supported by engineering, environmental, and urban planning consultants. In addition, government agencies such as the Department of Environment, the Public Works Department, and the Penang Infrastructure Corporation oversee regulatory compliance and ensure the project meets environmental and technical requirements.
Now we move into literature review. Dredging and land reclamation are important for coastal development, urban growth, and economic activities. Land reclamation creates new land for projects such as housing, ports, airports, and industrial areas. However, these activities can affect the environment, so sustainable methods are becoming more important. Next, dredging is the process of removing sediments from the seabed or riverbed. It helps maintain navigation channels, expand ports, and provide materials for land reclamation. There are two main methods, which is mechanical dredging and hydraulic dredging. Hydraulic dredging is commonly used for large reclamation projects because it is faster and more efficient. Although dredging and reclamation bring many benefits, but they can also cause water pollution, habitat loss, and changes to coastal ecosystem if they are not managed properly. To reduce these impacts, researchers recommend reusing dredged materials, applying soil improvement methods, and using modern monitoring systems. In conclusion, dredging and land reclamation are essential for coastal development, but sustainable planning and environmental protection are needed to ensure long-term benefits.
For the type of construction, the Silicon Island project involves 5 main types of construction, which is the first one is hydraulic land reclamation, where marine sand is pumped to create a new land, which is in this project, it creates 2,300 acres of new land using hydraulic sand filling. The second is marine dredging work, which is it collect and transport sand from a approved offshore areas by using CSD and TSHD dredger. Next is coastal protection construction by using containment bunds and rock revetments to prevent erosion and retain the sand. Next is ground improvement, where PVDS and surcharge loading strengthen the soft marine clay. For this project, this is to speed up soil consolidation and guarantee that the reclaimed ground can securely sustain the infrastructure and structure. In order to create a smart and sustainable city, Silicon Island will have road, bridges, drainage, and residential building, commercial project, industry park, and public facilities after the land became stable. For the major component used in Silicon Island land reclamation project is the first one is seed cartons are installed around the construction area, which is to reduce sediment dispersion and protect the surrounding marine environment. Next is PVDS are also installed the soft marine clay to improve ground stability and reduce future settlement. Containment bunds also include, which are built using geobags and geotubes, are then constructed to retain the reclaimed sand within the project area. Rock revetment and artificial pocket beaches also provide, which is for a long-term coastal protection by preventing wave damage and shoreline erosion. Sand bunds with sand filling act as temporary containment structure during reclamation, while the sand rehandling area temporarily store dredged sand before it pumped into the reclamation site, which is to all this together will ensure the reclaimed land is stable, protected, and ready for future infrastructure development. The construction process of Silicon Islands begins with the site establishment and mobilization, where the site equipment and workforce are prepared for reclamation work. Next, sand dredging and transportation are carried out to obtain marine sand from approved offshore areas and transport it to the project site. After that, containment bunds and seed curtains are installed to retain sand and minimize the sediment dispersion. This project proceeds with hydraulic sand filling, where sand is pumped into enclosed area to create the reclaimed land. Once the required level is achieved, the ground improvement works are carried out by using PVDS and temporary surcharge loading to strengthen the soft marine clay. This is followed by ground consolidation, which is it allowing the soil to gain stability and strengthen. Next, the permanent coastal protection such as rock revetments is constructed to protect the shoreline from erosion. Finally, the last is infrastructure development begins, including road, drainage system, utility, and future development. Overall, this construction process not only creates a stable land for future development, but also support environmental protection and benefits the local community by promoting sustainable and responsible development.
Hi, my name is MAISARAH and I will explain the main plants and machineries used in the Silicon Island Reclamation project. So the most important equipment would be trailing suction hopper dredger, or known as TSHD, which dredges marine sand from offshore areas and transport it to the reclamation site. Next, a cutter suction dredger. It is used to loosen up the seabed before pumping the sand through pipelines. A split hopper barge transports dredged materials and quarry rocks, while floating pipelines transfers the sand slurry directly into the reclamation area. On the reclaimed land, excavators are used to place rock fill and carry out earthworks, whereas bulldozers spread and level the hydraulic sand. After that, vibratory rollers compact the reclaimed sand to improve its strength and minimize future settlement. In addition, crawler cranes are used to lift heavy materials such as armor rocks for shoreline protection. Finally, PVD installation rigs, also known as vibrofloats, install prefabricated vertical drains to accelerate soil consolidation and ensure the reclaimed land is stable before construction begins. Next, I will discuss the main issues and challenges faced by Silicon Island project. The first challenge is environmental impacts. Large-scale dredging and land reclamation increase water turbidity, which reduces sunlight penetration and affects marine ecosystems such as seagrass and marine life. Reclamation also changes coastal hydrodynamics, including wave patterns and sediment movement, which may increase risk of coastal erosion and biodiversity loss. The second challenge is ground stability and settlement. The reclaimed area is underlain by soft marine clay with low bearing capacity. As the reclaimed sand settles over time, uneven settlement may occur, potentially causing foundation instability, cracked pavements, and damage to future infrastructure. Another challenge is public concerns and stakeholder management. Local fishing communities are worried about the loss of fishing grounds and the impact on their livelihoods, while environmental organizations have raised concerns about the long-term effects on biodiversity. Lastly, cost and schedule management remain as the major challenges. The project requires large quantities of materials, specialized marine equipment, and skilled labor over a long construction period. In addition, factors such as fluctuating material prices, fuel costs, weather conditions, and supply chain disruptions can affect both the project cost and completion schedule.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm SAKINA and I'll be explaining on the solutions implemented in the Silicon Island project in order to solve the issues discussed previously. Firstly, in terms of environmental solutions, the project complies to EMP or Environmental Management Plan to ensure the development activities follow sustainable practices. As for example, the water quality and sediment levels of the project are continuously monitored and reported to the Department of Environment. At the same time, the project also introduced PEOM or PSI Ecology Offset Master Plan, which includes initiatives such as mangrove plantings and other activities to restore ecological functions that are lost due to the dredging and reclamation activities. The initiative aimed to help improve biodiversity and protect coastal ecosystem. For engineering solutions, Silicon Island combines hydraulic sand filling with PVD and surcharge ground treatment. Since reclaimed land consists of soft marine clay, PVD accelerates soil consolidation while surcharge loading reduces future settlement. As a result, the reclaimed land becomes more stable and suitable for long-term development. Thirdly, for solution and community solutions, the project scaled down its original master plan after fishermen reported declining fish and prawn catches. The government also introduced SIMP or Social Impact Management Plan, which provides compensation, new jetties, and other support initiatives to reduce the negative impact on the local communities. Lastly, for economic solution, all sand used for reclamation is sourced only from EIA-approved sites in Perak and Selangor, reducing the risk of regulatory issues and project delays. Furthermore, material procurement and construction are carried out in phases, allowing costs to be spread over several years and improving financial management. For the comparative analysis, we have chosen Johor Forest City to critically evaluate and compare both projects. A critical comparison can be seen on the construction management, where Silicon Island adopts a phased reclamation approach with strict environmental monitoring by DOE. On the other hand, Forest City carried out large-scale simultaneous reclamation for 4 artificial islands, which resulted in environmental concerns, including damage to seagrass habitats. This shows that Silicon Island has better environmental governance because a phased approach allows impact to be monitored and controlled more effectively. Next, while both projects utilize hydraulic sand filling with PVD and surcharge loading, Silicon Island sources sand only from DOE-approved locations, whereas Forest City carry out dredging at various sites. Therefore, Silicon Island demonstrates a more responsible approach to material sourcing and resource management. Moving on, in terms of environmental management, Silicon Island implements both EMP and PEOM, which not only monitor environmental conditions but also restore damaged ecosystems. In comparison, Forest City mainly focus on environmental monitoring. So this indicates that Silicon Island takes a more proactive approach towards environmental sustainability. Finally, for community impact mitigation, Silicon Island introduced SIMP, which provides compensation and various support initiatives for fishermen, while Forest City mainly compensated selected fishermen only. As a result, Forest City received criticism for inadequate community engagement and lower social sustainability. Overall, although both are large-scale reclamation projects, Penang Silicon Island demonstrates a more balanced and sustainable approach because it integrates economic development, environmental protection, and community welfare more effectively than Johor Forest City.
In conclusion, dredging and land reclamation are important for Malaysia's coastal and urban development. The Silicon Island project shows how modern construction methods, suitable equipment, and proper ground improvement can create new land successfully. However, large reclamation projects also face environmental, technical, and social challenges, so careful planning and sustainable management are needed. Compared to Forest City, Silicon Island gives more attention to environmental protection, community involvement, and good project management. Overall, the project shows that balancing economic growth, environmental protection, and community needs is important for long-term sustainable development.